Okay, I saw this article and I haven't even read it yet, but I already knew I wanted to eviscerate it. I saw the title and I'm like, okay, this whatever idiot wrote this needs a proper evisceration because this is a stupid headline. Comes from Game Rant. Surprise, surprise. Headline says, "In defense of the next Battlefield's live service approach." Okay, you're already off to a wrong on the wrong foot because there is no defending their live service approach. Let's see what this clown has to say. Because as a big fan of the series, it has gone downhill since they got rid of premium. Like we used to get amazing DLC, and I'd be perfectly happy paying $60 for a season pass these days if it means getting quality stuff. Because ever since they dropped it and do free updates, it's been garbage. So the Battlefield franchise has struggled recently, you could say that, with disappointing releases like Battlefield 5 and 2042. Yeah, I was so hyped for 2042. Boy, was I naive. Impacting public perception. EA's CEO confirmed the next Battlefield will be a live service, sparking concern due to past failures with this model. Yeah, that was such a tone deaf statement from Andrew Wilson that just made me mad because like you could just he's so out of touch. He came out and said like, "Oh, I've been playing the new Battlefield. It'll be a great live service." Like it doesn't. His first thing isn't, "Oh, it'll be a great game." He's not concerned about that. He's concerned about it being a live service. He just wants to make money. He has no love for the franchise. However, despite initial setbacks, Battlefield 2042 improved, not really, with live service updates highlighting the potential for future success if DICE keeps those lessons in mind. Additionally, there's proof that live service games can work if handled correctly, with Helldivers 2 being just an example. Well, let me refute that at first, because Helldivers 2 it's a small studio, it's Arrowhead. They kind of have to listen to their community because if they do something wrong, and we've already seen this happen once, when they do something wrong, immediately they have to fix it because if they don't, fans will leave en masse, and they can't afford to screw up like that. They're a small, yeah, they're backed by Sony, but they're still aren't they second party? They're not a first party. I think they're second party Sony studio, and they're not as big as they're not. You don't have the backing of EA. EA is massive, so EA can keep screwing up, and they'll chug along just fine because they're EA and they suck. Man, Battlefield. I wish Battlefield would go to a different company. I wish Xbox would buy them. Screw it. Like they would let them do something right. The Battlefield franchise has missed nearly all the shots it's taken in the last few years, with Battlefield 5 and 2042 both being wow, I can't speak today. Both being pretty severe disappointments, at least when they first launched. It's going to take something pretty colossal to bring the series' once stellar public perception back. True. And based on recent comments from EA's CEO, the next Battlefield game might not be the big gesture that fans were hoping for. Yeah, in hindsight, I think the Five's live service was handled much better than 2042. I wish they didn't pull the plug on 5 so soon because we got that really good Pacific update, and then we were going to get an update for like the European theater. That would have been awesome, like 1944. You get like Berlin, like it would have been great, and of course that didn't happen. Just a few days ago, EA's CEO Andrew Wilson made a few sweeping statements about the next entry in the Battlefield franchise, which is currently being worked on by a cavalcade of talented studios. While the CEO made quite a, didn't the whole team that was making the campaign get fired? Like they were going to have a single player, but I think they all got fired. Honestly, I liked Bad Company 2's campaign and 3's. 4's was eh. They're okay. They're nowhere near as good as Call of Duty campaigns. Personally, I play Battlefield for the multiplayer. I do not mind if there's no campaign. Just nail the multiplayer and give us as much content as possible. Like, that's why there was no excuse for 2042 having such little content, because there's no campaign. If you're not going to give us a campaign, there should be twice the content in the multiplayer, and it wasn't the case. It sucked. Where was I? And of course, there's a dog barking outside, but I am going to keep recording because I'm on a roll. While the CEO made quite a few controversial comments about EA's future plans for monetization, it was Wilson's confirmation that the next Battlefield would be, quote, another tremendous live service that got fans riled up. Given Battlefield's past track record with the live service model, and given the model's frequent failures across the industry, it's more than reasonable for fans to be worried about the series' future. But the next Battlefield being a live service game was probably inevitable. Unfortunately, it was. And it can actually be a good thing if no, I don't believe you. Live services are, we've seen time and time and time and time and time again, they're not a good thing. And I understand that the reason why they got rid of premium is so they don't split up the player base. It screwed up Battlefield 1 because, like, to this day you can't really find matches with in DLC maps. I get it, but the solution is not what they're doing. It's just not. Oh, shut up, dog. Battlefield's live service approach isn't necessarily a bad thing. Is this the same article? I hate how some of these places kind of like bring up the next article immediately. I think it's the same one. You just scroll down normally. There's a new. Over the last few entries, EA has been slowly adding more and more live service elements to the Battlefield franchise, from paid skins, yeah, I'm not happy about it, to a seasonal approach to new content. Battlefield 2042, and I'm going to kick that dog. No, in Minecraft, I'm not really going to, but I hate this neighbor's dog. It's so annoying. Battlefield embraced this model fully, but like so many games both before and after it, Battlefield 2042 didn't know how to use the live service model effectively. At launch, 2042 had a severe lack of multiplayer modes. It still does. Maps and weapons. Yeah, it still does. The amount of weapons is pitiful, and same thing with the maps. And it was clear that EA simply wanted to ship the game as fast as possible, yeah, and add content to it later down the line. It was definitely, when you played it at launch, it felt so unfinished. This approach has never worked, and it definitely didn't for Battlefield 2042, resulting in an infamously disappointing critical and commercial reception on launch. Yeah, I thought it was going to be like the return to the Battlefield 4 glory days, but boy was I wrong. Gradually, though, over the past few years, Battlefield 2042 has become the game it probably always should have been. No, not really. Over the course of 7 seasons, Battlefield 2042 added a handful of new maps. A handful is pushing it. It was a very small amount. Modes, weapons, and vehicles, while also making much-needed changes to features like the game's controversial specialist system. Yeah, get that out of there. I never want to see it again in this franchise, ever. Get rid of it. Though for many fans it felt like too little too late. It was. Eventually it used its live service approach to better itself and to draw some fans back in. If the next Battlefield game can ship with plenty of content to begin with, it probably won't, and keep up a steady stream of updates and patches in the months or years following its release, then it could end up being the ideal Battlefield game, especially if fan feedback is taken into account with each update. The next Battlefield will just be the latest in a long line. Okay? When looking at the top multiplayer games in the world right now, almost everyone follows a live service approach in one way or another. Unfortunately, Fortnite kind of ruined the multiplayer gaming industry. Screw you, Fortnite. From Apex Legends, Call of Duty Warzone, and Fortnite to GTA Online, and even Counter-Strike. Helldivers 2 is a recent example of a game that has thrived with a live service model. In this modern age of gaming where AAA titles have more time, effort, and money than ever before to create, going live service is really the only viable way to earn those development costs back. But that doesn't need to be a bad thing. I think there's other ways to get that money back besides what they do. I don't think selling skins is the only way. While all these games aren't perfect, they've managed to keep their player bases invested for years now, and it's primarily due to their live service element. No, it's not. Screw you, Game Rant. Though a live service approach can often be used it is always used as an excuse by some publishers to put out unfinished games. Time and time again, it always is. In the right hands, it can be mutually beneficial tool for all parties, providing new content and features for fans while continuing to be a source of income for the developer. No, if you're EA, you are massive. You got so much money at your back. Look, I mean, 2042 was developed by 3 studios: DICE, Criterion, and Ripple Effect, which was that new studio. There is no excuse for a full-price game. Okay, it'd be different if it was a small indie studio, kind of like the people that made BattleBit Remastered, which was probably the best Battlefield, non-Battlefield game that we've had in years. It felt like old-school Battlefield. And they probably made it because they were fed up with not getting what they wanted. And that was made by a few people. So there is no excuse that 3 massive studios, backed by EA, put out a game for full price, and it being that unfinished and that lacking content. Like I said, if it was an indie game, I would excuse the lack of content, and if it was early access. EA needs to stop treating full price games like early access. It is not. We are not your beta testers. Test your freaking game before you put it out, because that game was a mess when it came out. Go back and watch my videos. I was hyped, all kinds of hyped for that game. And then I played the beta, and then I played the full game, and I was like, this is not very good. And just little things that the past games did super well, like almost no ambient background noise. Battlefield 1 they nailed the ambient noise. Like, Battlefield 1 is an absolute masterpiece. It might be my favorite Battlefield game still. Uh, but, like, no ambient sounds in the background. So the skyscrapers don't fall over. I mean, we had it a decade ago. Battlefield 4 in 2013, you had a skyscraper. Yeah, it was like a scripted event. But where's all the destruction? There's like no destruction in 2042. Battlefield 1, you knocked down whole houses. That was like some of the best destruction in the series. 5, I think, had some pretty okay destruction, but I think it peaked with 1. In Bad Company 2, over a decade ago, you could knock down houses. So the lack of destruction was very frustrating. And also the gunplay just didn't feel right. It never felt right to me, even to this day. It feels too Call of Duty-like. It doesn't feel heavy. Like, Battlefield gunplay has just always felt heavy and more realistic. Like, the gun felt like it had heft to it. They all feel like water guns to me in 2042. They feel like they have no weight, and they're all just fake water guns or Nerf guns. Heck, I mean, some of the more recent Call of Duty games had better gunplay than this game. This just felt awful. And I think there was some Call of Duty Warzone people that worked on this, but just everything about this game was a massive disappointment. And even now, after 7 seasons, there's not many guns. Battlefield 4 from a decade ago has way more guns in it. And then, of course, Battlefield 1, they really tried their hardest to put as many as they can in there, because it's a World War I game, and there wasn't that many guns to choose from. So that's a setting thing, though. Like, you can kind of excuse that. But Battlefield 1 is the high mark of the franchise for me. It's been downhill ever since. I can still find enjoyment out of 5. But yeah, like, this franchise is on its deathbed, and it's about 2 seconds away from getting a lethal injection, and it's got to be saved. Like, I know Vince Zampella is there now. Maybe he can save it, but an EA will probably never sell the IP, unfortunately. Somebody needs to get in there in EA and get Andrew Wilson out, please, because he's an idiot. And unfortunately, a lot of the talent that made Battlefield, like the best ones, like Bad Company 2, Battlefield 1, they're all gone. So-called Mr. Battlefield is gone. The guy that worked on the series from the beginning, he's gone. And all the geniuses that made Battlefield 1, they're gone. So a lot of them went and made the finals, and you can tell, because the destruction in the finals is amazing. Like, that is where Battlefield should have gone. The destruction in that game is so good. Like, I just go around knocking huge buildings down with a sledgehammer, and it's like, where was this in Battlefield now? It's just so lazy. So, I know I've been ranting for like 15 minutes now, but I love this franchise, and I hate to see what it's become. I hate all the stupid skins. I hate all the specialists. I want us to just go back to the glory days of, you got the 4 classes, you got Assault, Engineer, Recon, and crap, what's the health one? There's been this variation on that for years. Like, the 4 main classes, you got your normal, regular-looking military dudes, but unfortunately they have to monetize it, so everyone's gonna look like clowns, and you have to do these stupid specialist things. So, yeah, I wish we could go back to Bad Company 2 and Battlefield 3 days, but maybe one day they'll learn the lesson. But for now, I'm just gonna keep playing BF 1 and 5. So, yeah, let me know what are you a fan of the Battlefield franchise, and are you as annoyed as I am with where it's gone, what it's become? Let me know in the comments. Like, share, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you next time. And for what, I don't know what I'm gonna do next, but whatever I do next, you'll hopefully watch it. So, peace out.